The third Ashtapadi and the third Slok. The Slok and the Ashtapadi. The third one. Bhav sa satra po simrit pekhe sarab tatol पूज सनाई हर हरे नानक नाम amol. Guru Arjan Dev Maharaj says that he has read a number of scriptures, a number of texts. He has read and he has studied a number of religions, the Shastras, the Smritis, both Shastra, both Simrit, Shastras and the Smritis. However, when compared to the name of God, they are nothing. The name of God, the name of Allah, the name of Vaheguru, the name of Parameshwar, the name of that cosmic energy, the realization of that cosmic energy is the most supreme. And for that one has to have the love for God. These words have been said with various variations, even by Sant Kabir, by Sufi saints like Bulle Shah, Amir Khushro, Hossein Kavi, Tulsidas, and even Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj has says this, Jin prem kiyo tin hi prab payo. Moko sikh nahi pyara, moko rehat pyari hai. A mundane follower and a mundane reader is not as beloved to God as the one who loves God and one who lives in his wish. Bhav sasat bo simriti, ekhe sarab tadol, pooj nahi hare hare, nanak naam amol. Nanak naam amol. The name is priceless. The contemplation is priceless. Knowledge can be various things. In my experience with religion, Taoism, Buddhism, Jews, Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Gautam Buddha says every religion is limited because every religion is nothing but a human school of thought. All religions are on fire. He tells Ananda, all religions are on fire because religion, when true religion was made, that is the name of God and the realization of God, it was meant for the entire world, not for any particular race. But people have confined religions into a set practice, as a result of which there is always a difference between two schools of thoughts, and that is the starting point of the religions competing with one another, fighting with one another. Nobody wants to live in the wish of God. People say, yes, God is there. In Hindi, I always say, Paramatma ko manne wale bahut hai, Paramatma ki manne wala koi nahi hai. The name of God and the realization of the true self, which is there within you, pervading within you as well as outside you, is more important. We begin with the Ashtapadi, the Cant Octet 3. Jap tap gyan saptyan, khat sasat samrit vakyan. The practices of various austerities, the reading of various books, various forms of meditational practices, the recitation of a particular mantra, the discourses of the Upanishads, the Purans, the Quran, the Smritis, the Shrutis, the Vedas, Bhagavad Puran, and various other aspects become meaningless if you do not follow God, if you do not contemplate on the name of God. As I had stated earlier in Ashtapadi 2, Jnani tyani gur gur hai kehen na jai teri til vadiyai. Neither the jnani nor the dhyani, neither the person who has got a lot of knowledge, neither the meditator can even say a fraction of the Almighty's greatness. Jog abhyas karam dharm kriya sagal tyagi ban made phriya. There are people who practice yoga, perform various kind of rituals. Sagal tyagi ban made phriya. And there are many people who have become ascetics. They leave, they renounce the world, and they go to forests and start meditating over there, unfulfilling their duties towards the household, towards the world at large. And Japji Sahib also it is stated in a very nice manner. Asang jap, asang pao, asang puja, asang tap tao, asang granth mukved paad, asang jog man rahi udas, asang bhagat gun gyan vichar, asang sati, asang tatar, asang sur mo baksar, asang mon liv laithar, kudrat kavan kaha vichar, varan java ekvar, jo tud pave sai balikar tu sada salamat nirankar. This also is said in Sukhmani Sahib over here, also it is said in the same thing. There are many practices, many yogas, many rituals, many ways. But all of them even put together can't equate the name of the Lord. And the best way is to stay within His wish, to accept what He says, what He does. These things are going to be further elucidated in the Sukhmani Sahib itself. We go ahead from here. अनेक प्रकार किए बहु जतना पुण्य दान हो में बहु रत्ना. A person performs various types of rituals. He also does a lot of punya, good deeds. Then a lot of sacrifices, pouring of ghee, pouring of nevedya. During Bakri, they cut number of Bakris. In Calcutta, they sacrifice number of goats or even the calves to the Kali. Anek prakar ki hai bahut jatna. Jatna is efforts, rituals. Pun dan home bahut ratna. Home is the sacrificial fire in which you put various kind of things and sacrifices. The bhav, the real meaning is towards the practices. Sarir kataye home kar rati varat name kare bhav bati. There are people who cut their body also. And there are people who offer their bodies and sacrifice themselves in the fire. There are people who even take fasts. There are people who even take vows. Nahi tuli Ram naam vichar nanak gurmukhi naam japi ek baar. But all these acts also, even when put together, do not equal the contemplation of the name of God. The acceptance that yes, there is the force. And I am a part and parcel of that force. I am a small speck of that force. That is known as Ram Nam Bichar. The real thought, the real self-realization of Shiva. Shiva is the self, not the Lord Shankara in the body form. Ram is also means the same thing. Words are used to describe the cosmic force. The real bhav is not towards the body, it is to the spirit, to that energy, to that ultimate omnipotent cosmic energy. Nanak Gurmukh naam japi ek baar. Now it is the true devotee, the true Gurmukh, who contemplates the name of God and seeking that name even properly once is a way of redeeming your sins, or rather moving towards it, a way of attaining the Almighty, or rather moving towards it. Naukhand pritmi phre chir jive maha odas tapi surthi. There are people who wander the whole world, the whole earth, to seek bliss, to seek the name of God, to do research. And some become ascetics. They start practicing mount, that is silence. And some go in for very, very strong kind of self-sacrificing techniques like long fasts and various things. Agni May Homat Paran. Some even throw themselves in the fire. Agni May Homat Paran. Paran means yourself. Paran is the self. The body also sometimes is sacrificed. Kanik Asva Havar Bhum Dhyan. And there are many who give wealth, gold. In the olden days, there were horses. Nowadays, we have cars and ambulances, lands in charity. Nyoli karam kare bahu asan. Nyoli is a yogic posture for washing the intestines, for cleaning the intestines. And there are many yogic postures also. What Guru Nanak in the form of Guru Arjan Dev says is, there are many who perform such things. Jain Marak Sanjam At Sadhan. And there are many people who adopt Jainism, not eating the onion, not eating the potato, and also do a lot of sadhana practiced by that religion. Nimak namak kar sarir katave, to bhi home mail na jave. There are many who do a lot of torture to their body. निमक नमक कर शरीर कटावे तो भी होम में मैल न जावे तभी भी अहंकार नहीं जाता. Even then, egoism, the pride cannot be taken away. Because when he does that, he actually is taking pride in doing and he's developing an ego itself. Where's the question of the ego being washed out? हर के नाम समसर कछ नाई नानक गुरमुख नाम जपत गत पाही. None of these efforts equal to the name of God. None of these efforts equal to the name of God. The remembrance and the contemplation of the infinite, of that force, in which form you realize, is not more important. The realization of the self within. That particular force which is there within you, that has to be realized. The body is not you. The Atma is divided into two parts as a result of the past births. One is the Paramatma, one is the Jivatma. The Jivatma is the impure soul which is striving towards the Paramatma. The soul has two parts, the living soul and the divine soul. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, मैं सब में हूँ, सब मुझ में है, मैं सब में नहीं. All the Jivatmas, all the living spirits emanate from the main cosmic energy. But that main cosmic energy is not there in every spirit, every living spirit. Guru Nanak says in the Arti, we said, सब में ज्योति ज्योत है सोए तिस दे चानन सब में चानन होए. That speck of divinity is there in even the most downtrodden element. Even that speck can work wonders if it be the wish of the Almighty. हर के नाम समसर कछ नाई Nanak Gurmukh Naam Japat Gat Pai. With the Guru's guidance, you will get Gati. You will get the expeditiousness required to attain liberation. Man kamra tirat de chute garb guman namante hote. Man kamra tirat de chute. The mind wishes that the mind has a kalpana, has an envisaging tendency that by going to a holy place of pilgrimage, you will attain salvation or something good will happen. It's a very good thought, but in spite of that thought, garab guman na mante hote, the ego and pride of the mind does not go, even by going to religious places. The effect would be there for some time, but unless and until you don't realize it within yourself, the tirath, the pilgrimage, is also a waste. Japji Sahib says this in a very nice manner. Tirath nawa jetis pava vin paane ke nai kari jetis sirt upai vekha vin karma ke milaili. Mat vichiratan jawahar manik je ikkur ki supani. The mat has got various gems, various treasures, which lead to liberation. And that can be attained by following the path of the true Guru. सोच करे दिनस और रात, मन की मैल न तंते जात. There are a number of people who do various kinds of acts, think, arrive at logics, day and night. But still, at the end of the day, they can't achieve any milestone or any significant progress in spirituality. The reason is they keep on debating. Think beyond a point where it is not required. One must know he is infinite. He is infinite and is capable of doing anything. Of course, in your material world, you have to analyze between the good and the bad. But beyond a point, when a person starts questioning everything, he attains an arena from where he goes into science. And science is nothing but an analysis of nature. And then he gets embroiled in those kind of arguments, in those kind of logics, philosophers arguing between themselves. Finally, the result is they end up in an ego clash, in religious wars. Soche soch no hove je subchi lakhwal. Like in the first line of Japji Sahib itself, after the Mool Mantra. There's no point thinking beyond a certain point. इस देही को वो साधना करे मन ते कबो न बिख्या टरे. Even by adopting, putting various devices on the body, stones, gemstones, precious metals, divine lockets, even then, the evil thoughts and the passions of the body, Bhikhya, the passions, the evil aspects, do not leave it. Jal dave bodhe aneet, sudh ka hoy kachi beet. There are many who wash this mortal body, put perfume, use the best of the soaps, shampoos for the hair. But what about the internal consciousness which is not clean? How will that go? मन हर के नाम की महिमा ऊंच, नानक नाम उदरे पतित भव मूच. Guru Nanak says, the name of the Almighty and its contemplation within the mind and the presence of it within the mind is beyond comprehension. It is great. Nanak Naam Udre Patit Bhav. And by contemplating this name, many sinners also turn into new leaves. Nanak Nirgun Gun Kare Gunavantiya Gun De. In Japji Sahib it comes, the Nirgunyar, the sinner, becomes little better. And one who's already good becomes even more better. There is a progression with the contemplation of the name of God. The focus increases. I strongly tell most of the parents to inculcate into the child a daily ritual, not a ritual would be a wrong word against what I am saying, a daily practice, a daily habit for the child to recite the name of God within his mind, not a mere recital. This helps in the child's performance, in the focus building, which is very essential in the early part of life, as to what the child would intend to do when he becomes older. बहुत स्याड़प जम का भव व्यापे, अनिक जतन करतशन नद्रापे. The most clever efforts fail when the person thinks about death. In fact, all cleverness is aimed at escaping death, escaping destruction, escaping failure. And in spite of all this, in spite of knowing that you're going to die, In spite of that, the thirst of desire, the avarice, the greed does not go. Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj makes a very important note in the Dasham Granth. जो कल को एक पार त्याई हैं ताके काल निकट नहीं आई हैं. The person who realizes that he is going to die one day, he is going to leave this body, is a person who slowly and steadily overcomes the fear of death. And with that, a person automatically becomes less craving. बेख अनेक अग्नि नहीं बूझे, कोट उपाव दरगे नहीं सीजे. In spite of wearing cholas, gowns, religious garbs, rudraksh malas, various kinds of amulets, various kinds of rudraksh beads of various denominations, various kinds of gemstones, the fire within, the fire of the passions within does not get extinguished. Kot above darge nahi seeje. And in spite of all these efforts, a man does not reach a position where he is acceptable in the court of God. What I mean is, for the Jivatma to submerge into the Paramatma, all these garbs, all these rituals are not necessary. छोटस नाही को ओ पयाल, छोटस नाही ओ पयाल मोह व्यापी माया जाल. In spite of going in high mountains, in the past many yogis used to do various kind of practices by which they could lift their body into the air, or even by going underwater and meditating. A person does not get liberated from nature. Initially, when I had begun this discussion on the Sukhmani Sahib, I had said about Paurush and Prakriti. Paurush is the force, a cosmic energy, the Paramatma, the Paravartikar, the Allah, Nirankar. That omnipotent Shiva. Shiva is not to be confused with Lord Shankara. That omnipotent force, which we call God, has created. And this creation, in the form of Prakriti, what we see around us, is also known as Maya. And this Maya has a tendency to distract a person more often by the negative angles, because the person's Jivatma is not yet clean. The mind is not yet clean. So it perceives the negative aspects. It is not that the Prakriti is showing the negative aspects, it is the mind which is perceiving the negative aspects first. It's a matter of perception. And even by doing various kind of meditational practices, if one cannot control the mind, he does not get liberated. Avar kartuti sagli jam dane, Gobind bhajan bin til nahi mane. Except with the name of the Almighty. Death takes away all the works done by a man. The moment he leaves his body, he leaves everything over here. In spite of this universal truth, the gospel truth which even science will not be able to overcome, at the most a person can do various kind of techniques and live a little longer. In spite of knowing this, a person's mind is entangled in worldly love, in greed, and in attachments. And unless and until you contemplate the name of God, death comes to everybody in a painful manner. Unless it is that kind of a person who is continuously in touch with God and who knows that, yes, I was to die and so I am dying. So to him, that doesn't cause pain. Painful is not that particular moment of time when a person is dying and he's feeling the pain. That pain is like you're just meeting with an accident and that's it. The pain is the fear of death. Again, I say Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj made a very, very important note in the Dasham Granth. जो कल को एक पार यही हैं ताकि काल निकट नहीं आए हैं. A person who knows he is going to die, who embraces death, to him death doesn't matter. हर का नाम जपत दुख जाए, नानक बोले सहज सुभाए. By contemplating the name of God, all the sufferings of a person slowly and steadily get destroyed, they get dispelled. Nanak bole sahaj subhaye. And the name of God, though difficult to take due to concentration, but should be taken in a nice, calm and peaceful manner. Nanak remaining unaffected by the distractions. Nanak bole sahaj subhaye. Sahaj is effortless, calmness, and remaining unaffected, remaining stoic. चार पदार्थ जेको मागे, सात जना की सेवा लागे. In the Hindu dharma, we classify the four virtues which a person keeps on asking: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. That is, dharma is faith, artha is wealth, kama is fulfillment of desires, and moksha is salvation. Bhagat Danna, or rather in the Aarti, दाल सीधा मांगो घियो, हमरा खुशी करे नित जियो, पुनिया छादन नीका, अनाज मगो सत्सी का, गौ भैंस मगो लावेरी, एक ताजन तुरी चंगेरी, घर की हन चंगी, जन धन्ना लेवे मंगी. Bhagat Danna, a very high ordered devotee who attained salvation in Punjab. He was a Jat. He had a very strong belief in the Shaligram, a form of Vishnu in the stone. So a person who wants four boons, these four boons are necessary, but to what extent? What is basic minimum should be there? There has to be a distinguishing between a need and a want. When you limit yourself to a need, you will get it. Traveling beyond the need, all right, to maintain a little bit of your society, you require some kind of standard of living. Even that becomes need. But traveling beyond that and endlessly, then that becomes a want. It becomes an arena of avarice, arena of greed, which welcomes passion. And after limiting his wants, a person should engage himself in the service of good deeds, in the service of saints and true saints, holy saints. चार पदार्थ जेको मांगे, सात जना की सेवा लागे. जेको अपना दुख मिटावे, हर हर नाम हृदय सद गावे. जेको अपना दुख मिटावे. A person who desires to free himself from suffering. Har har naam hriday satyave. He must keep on taking the name and of God in his mind truly by way of contemplation, not by way of mere recital. जेको अपनी शोभा लोरे, सात संग ई होमे छोरे. जेको अपनी शोभा लोरे. Lore in Punjabi means zarurat, who requires. The one who seeks good reputation, shobha, for himself. Sadh sang e home chore. He must come within the congregation of true devotees and saints and must discard his ego. Jeko janam maran te dare, saat jana ki sharani pare. The person who fears, a person who wants to have himself free from the bondage of transmigration into various forms, again back into the human form, he also must take the shelter of the congregation of true devotees and true saints. जिस जन को प्रभ दरस प्यासा नानक ताके बल बल जासा. A person who is thirsty for the sight of God. Some people say, I would like to have Ganpati's darshan. I would like to have my Guru's darshan. Coming to that aspect a little later, the form of God in the formless manner and the aspect of the formless manner taking a form, which will be spoken a little at length later. A person who is thirsty for the sight of God, or rather for the aspect of realization of God, Guru Nanak says that I pay hats of thanks, I pay hats of appreciation to such a person again and again. Bal bal jasa, again and again. Again and again, I say hats off to him. Sagal purak mein purak pradhan, sat sang jaka mite abhiman. Such a person is distinguished. Such a person is distinguished from the others. And such a person has effaced his ego, his pride in the company of true devotees and true saints. आपस को जो जाने नीचा सो गड़ियां सबते ऊंचा. The person who considers himself to be the lowest, the person who feels that he is nothing, and who knows that he is nothing, he is not even a speck in the vast ocean of the Almighty, in the vast omnipotence, the infiniteness of the Almighty, or that force. It's beyond comprehension. Whether the chicken came first or the egg came first, such questions shall always remain unanswered. That person who knows that he is nothing before the infiniteness of nature, Guru Nanak says, such a person must be considered as supreme to all. जाका मन होए सगल की रीना, हर हर नाम तिन गढ़ कड़ चीना. A person who considers himself to be the lowest, as low as the dust of the feet of others, such a person sees the noor, the cosmic energy, the divine light in all beings. मन अपने ते बुरा मिटाना, पेखे सगल सृष्टि साजना. He who eliminates evil thoughts from his mind. Pekhe sagal srishti sajna. He sees the entire world and its creation as his friend, created by the Almighty, who is also his friend. So what is created by a friend is always liked by the devotee. Sukh dukh jan samdishteta, nanak paap pun nahi lepa. A person of such a nature accepts the wish of the Almighty. He considers joy and sorrow as the wish of the Almighty, and he treats them alike. In Sukhmani Sahib itself, there is a beautiful line which we will be talking about a little later, but which needs a reference over here. And that line is, जिसकी बस तिस आगे राखे प्रभ की आज्ञा माने माथे उसते चौगुन करे निहाल नानक साहिब सदा दयाल. A person who lives in the obedience of the Almighty, a person who says, yes, what he has done is right, and what he has taken from me was actually given by him only, that person does not stand affected by any evil or good. To him joy and sorrow are alike. Sukh dukh jan samdrishteta. Jan samdrishteta. Samdrishteta meaning एक ही दृष्टि से, viewing it in a like manner. Nanak paap pun nahi le pa. Such people are unaffected by the good and the evil of the world. Nirdhan ko dhan tero nao, nithave ko nao tera thao. The people who do not have wealth, to him your name is the wealth, or rather the real wealth is the name of God. Nithave ko nao tera thao. And those people who don't have a formal shelter, it is your name which is the shelter. And even to those people who are seeking your name, they are actually seeking real shelter. Nimane ko prabtero maan, sagal kata ko devo naan. To the people who consider themselves to be nothing, who consider themselves to be thus, who are nimanas, your name is their savior. Your name, the God's name, is their honor. Sagal kata ko devo daan. And you shower your benevolence on all. In Islam we have Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He showers his benevolence on all. Karan Karavan Har Swami, Sagal Gata ke Antarjami. He is the doer, he is the invoker, he is the prompter of all actions. Sagal Gata ke Antarjami. He knows the secrets of everybody's hearts, everybody's minds. People, sometimes who don't do anything wrong, who don't say anything wrong, but internally keep on corrupting their minds and making plans to destroy others. Even those things are being watched because that particular mind also is a part and parcel of this cosmic whole. And when that particular functioning of the thought process goes against the divine functioning, automatically there is an imbalance created. And that imbalance, nature, prakriti, you must have heard of Newton's laws of motion. It is applicable to the thought process also. That will balance out automatically. So even think good. The Parsis say, think good and do good. Apni gatmit jano ape, apan sang aprabrate. The Lord Almighty knows and has knowledge of His state. And He also knows that He is limitless in what He can do. Apan sang aprabrate. The Almighty Himself is meditating on Himself. He is absorbed in Himself. He doesn't need to be absorbed in something else. Because it is the universal or the ultimate cosmic force. Tumri ustat tumte hoye, Nanak avar na jaan sikoye. Whom does the Lord Almighty Lord? He lords Himself. What is the purpose of this creation? It is basically He doing it Himself for Himself. Nanak avar na jaan sikoye. These kind of things don't have any answer. Nobody has the knowledge of this. And nobody can have the knowledge of it. And science can only explore it. Finally, how was it created? Why was it created? Nobody comes to know about it. And nobody shall know about it. It's very logical. Try and apply your mind. सरब धर्म में शेषट धर्म हर को नाम जप निर्मल करम. Sarab Dharma. Dharma, again, I told you, is a limited. What is Dharma? Years ago, when I was doing chartered accountancy, I was doing my articles with BK Khare and Company. My senior, Mr. DP Bapat, he asked me, what is the definition of philosophy? Those days I was young. I looked up. Though I used to take a lot of interest in talking about religion and philosophy. Looked up, scratched my head, and I stopped. Later, I made a research into the question, which even Mr. Bapat could not answer. And after 15 to 16 years of trying to get deep into that question, I once struck the right note while I was reading Gautam Buddha. Religion is nothing but a philosophy. A philosophy is a school of thought. A person feels that his school of thought is superior to the other school of thought. It is actually a sense of ego. Practicing a particular religion is actually a sense of ego. That's the reason why Guru Nanak says, be a Sikh. By being a Sikh doesn't mean follow Sikhism as a formal religion. What it means is follow the way of life of learning. Learning from others, learning from circumstances. Life is a learning process. Do not believe in mundane, limited forms of religion. That is what it means over here. Sarab dharam mein sheshat dharam. Har ko naam jap nirmal karam. And that dharma is universal once you start taking the name of real God. And that ritual of taking and contemplating the name of God is the highest ritual, because that is no ritual. That is the ultimate thing which you are supposed to do. Sagal kriya mein uttam kriya. Sahat sang durmat mal hiriya. The best of the rituals that one can perform is by going in a satsang, in a congregation of prayer with true devotees and true saints, taking the name of the Almighty. That is the highest form, because there the spirit, the atmosphere becomes so charged up that once you enter into that atmosphere, a lot of your wrong thinkings, bad thinkings automatically start vanishing. And the purification internally takes place. In Christ, you have confessions. People go and try to confess before a padri. Over here, when you enter the satsang, you are actually entering the arena of God Himself, the ambience of God Himself, where you will be talking to God, realizing about your mistakes in the past, and those mistakes which can be forgiven are forgiven. Sagal udam mein udam bala, har ka naam japo ji sada. Of all the efforts, udam, the best and the most finest effort is the contemplation of God, His name. Sagal bani mein amrit bani, har ko jas sune rasan bakani. Which are the words, the best words one must person hear, or the zikr, the uttering, which one person must talk so that the ears may listen, and that is the name of God. About His works, about His miracles, about His Leela. Sagal tahan te o utam than, nanik ji gat vasaharinam. Which is the best holy space? The best holy place is your mind itself. If it has the name of God residing in it, you need not go to any holy place. And where the divine name is lodged, where it is residing, that is the holy place. And that ends Slok Tija and Ashtapadi Tija.